The following program does not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or policies of the City of Oceanside, its elected officials, KOCT, its board of directors, or staff.
You're watching KOCT, the Oceanside Channel. This program brought to you by the caring hands of Tri-City Medical Center.
Hi, welcome to this edition of The Voice of Oceanside. We have with us today Rosemarie Choro, who is the Water Utilities Manager for the City of Oceanside, and the topic will be, right here, we'll do a visual, water, see, water, which came through your system.
Yes, yes.
Congratulations, it worked. So
yes, thank you. We put a lot of effort into that water.
How long have you been with Oceanside Water? We were remarking earlier, the water department is usually one of those where people are seemingly in it forever, but you've joined us fairly recently.
Yes, I've been with the City of Oceanside for 2 years, but I have experience working for other agencies in different counties and in different aspects of it. But you're correct in saying that our staff is very seasoned and have been with Oceanside for many years. And many of them grew up in Oceanside and live in Oceanside to this day.
Well, one of the interesting things out here is in the American West, water is very interconnected. There's no one agency that gets us our water. Certainly that's true of Oceanside. So can you explain for our viewers a little bit about how Oceanside connects to the greater water system that makes that happen?
Okay. Well, in Oceanside specifically, our water, the majority of it, about 85% of it comes from out of this region. So we're getting water from Northern California in the San Joaquin Delta, and then also we're importing water from the Colorado River. So it comes from a great distance and goes through a lot of processes to ultimately end up in our tap, coming out in our homes and in our businesses. A lot of resources have been pulled together to make this happen. It's not just something that runs automatically, but the federal government is involved, state government, local entities, neighboring cities, to make sure that Oceanside has adequate amounts of water.
You know, there's sort of a demarcation line. It comes here, and then once it's here, it's totally your responsibility, of course, once it enters your system. But either because of drought or changing in political issues even, are there changes from time to time in how the water reaches us and from what percentage comes from what source? Is that something you need to spend a lot of time with, or is that just something that happens external to Oceanside? Well,
there are a lot of external factors at play. So currently we're looking at drought conditions in Northern California, so that supply has been impacted. It's limited here in Southern California, whereas in the past the Colorado has experienced drought, but currently there's more supply coming through the Colorado. So regionally and throughout the Southwest, water managers are looking at what the availability is of these sources of water, and that ultimately determines the mix of water that comes into Oceanside.
Can you list the significant agencies that provide this water, whose costs in turn end up on the water bill? I mean, we have obviously Oceanside Municipal Water District. Who else is involved by name?
When you're talking about those two aqueducts that ultimately come to feed Oceanside, we're looking at the State Water Project, and that water is coming down through that aqueduct to the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California. And from there, the member agency is the San Diego County Water Authority, which is the overall umbrella for the San Diego region. And Oceanside is an agency, a member of the Water Authority. So you've got Oceanside, San Diego County Water Authority, Metropolitan Water District of Southern California.
And these relationships aren't always perfectly smooth. For example, there's been a lawsuit for quite a while.
Yes.
And can you give us an update?
On the lawsuit with the Water Authority and
Metropolitan Water District.
There are some discussions, and in a nutshell, there's a lot of legal back and forth going on between the Water Authority and Metropolitan. But the Water Authority's basis for this lawsuit is that they're being overcharged for water and the transportation specifically of water. So the Water Authority, I believe, is accepting of the idea that because the water is being transported a long distance, there are those costs of transportation, and that's totally acceptable. But the idea is that the Metropolitan Water District has added some other costs in there that are not related to the transportation of water. So it shifts the total cost of water to the agency that's farthest away. And in this case, it's the San Diego County Water Authority and its member agencies, including Oceanside. So the lawsuit was filed, I believe, originally back in 2010, and there was a ruling just recently favoring the Water Authority's allegation that they're being overcharged for water.
Could this flow through? It's directly between San Diego County Water Authority and Metropolitan Water District. I just realized flow through. We're talking about water. The
very
brilliant
nice.
part. If this suit continues in this direction and it goes against Metropolitan Water District, there'll be some penalties or some rebates.
Yes.
Could that flow through to the citizens of Oceanside as in either a water bill rebate or reduced water bills for a period of time?
There is an estimated dollar amount that could be saved, that we've already been overcharged, and then also for the future. If that money is returned to the Water Authority, then that would have to be divvied up among the member agencies. Oceanside is one of them. And then our customers are affected by that rebate or refund or reduction in rates. And I think how that specifically will play out will be determined depending on how this lawsuit turns out. But if the Water Authority is successful in this lawsuit, it would probably most likely be seen in the stabilization of water rates, and it could prevent further rate increases.
Okay. Let's talk about the drought. It's on the news every day, and then when it rains, it goes away, and then it comes back the next day. So you're a professional at this, and it's your responsibility to monitor this. Tell us, how does this stand? I mean, are we in an extremely serious situation? Should Oceanside city residents expect restrictions?
Well, we are in a significant drought. The governor has declared an emergency statewide because of the water drought. And in particular, what we don't see here in Southern California is the water situation up further north of us, where it is extremely severe. Farmers are being affected. Water systems are affected up north. The difference here in Southern California and Oceanside in particular is we've been through significant droughts in the past. There's the famous ones in the 1970s and then again in the early 90s. And a lot of Southern California, particularly San Diego County agencies, have learned from those droughts to invest in infrastructure, to plan for these types of events, to promote water conservation, not just when we're in a drought, but as a resource to protect our communities. And San Diego County Oceanside residents have done a phenomenal job in protecting such a valuable resource.
So it's a combination of storage, which would be reservoirs, of course, and then interconnectivity so the water can get to the right place at the right time.
Definitely. Storage, interconnectivity, building relationships with neighboring agencies. So we actually are able to provide water to some of our neighboring cities. We work closely with other cities so that we can develop greater recycled water infrastructure. So the more recycled water that we can use, say for landscaping, that saves that much potable water, the drinking water that we use to cook and bathe with for that particular purpose. So looking at water, not just during these crisis drought times has really put us in a good position to have a stable community.
It's been a long time, a real long time, since I was in the water business, but if memory serves, Oceanside led the way in reclaimed water, certainly on a regional level, if not a national level. Has that continued? Is Oceanside still one of the more effective users of reclaimed water?
Yes, we're looking at recycled water for a variety of different applications, expanding our backbone and infrastructure. And then, of course, the most cost-effective approach is to partner with neighboring agencies. So if they've got a pipe near a location where we have the demand, it's a natural fit instead of trying to lay expensive additional pipe in the ground. So it benefits our neighbors, it benefits Oceanside and our customers, and it saves everybody money.
Are there any significant interconnectivity projects going on right now that will come online in the near future?
The City of Oceanside is working with North County agencies for recycled water in that particular, in this particular discussion of recycled water. We also work closely with our neighboring agencies to move water around with the Water Authority and to ensure that our neighbors also are kept in supply.
You know, when we talk about reclaimed or recycled water, that always raises some concerns. So let's take a minute or two before our first break and give people your assessment, sort of the overview of where this water comes from, how it's used, and what the, let's call it the safety of it is.
Recycled water?
Yes.
Well, I think when we look at recycled water and it's coming out of the treatment plants, the wastewater treatment plant, it is treated and oftentimes disinfected to levels that can meet drinking water standards. And then it's normally applied to landscape applications. You can use it in industrial applications. There is a lot of significant regulations around recycled water, the quality of it, how it's handled, treated, signed, to better protect the public from any possible issues or concerns. Now, throughout this region, we're seeing a huge interest in recycled water and very well-treated recycled water for different applications, including supplementing reservoirs and aquifers. So that's happening throughout the region.
So when people see the purple pipe that says don't drink this, it doesn't mean one drop is going to kill you.
Oh, correct, definitely, definitely.
And when we talk about restoring the aquifers, we're literally returning this water that's almost good enough to drink back to the ground, which creates the natural filtration process in effect.
Yeah, and you know, I remind people that what we do in the water department is something that's been happening for hundreds of years. The Egyptians used filtrations to treat water. What we're doing is taking those techniques, using good sound engineering, water quality information to mimic that process to produce very high quality water. So it's not rocket science. It's a tried and true technique that we're doing.
Well, it's time for our first break. We've got some other stuff to talk about. Stay with us. We'll be gone for a few minutes, and when we come back, we will continue our discussion of water in Oceanside.
Visiting Oceanside Certified Farmers Market is a great experience for those wanting to explore agriculture and support small farming operations. Over 30 farmers can be found there, selling fresh, locally grown fruits and vegetables directly to the public. Other goods include honey, eggs, flowers, herbs, and delicious baked goods. The market is located on the corner of Coast Highway and Pierview Way in beautiful downtown Oceanside. It's open year-round on Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
This kid died from using illegal drugs. And this kid died from using prescription painkillers. Now you tell me, which one's more dead? Talk to your kids about prescription drug abuse.
Welcome back to the Voice of Oceanside. We're here with Rosemarie Choro, who is the water guru, right? The absolute top water person for Oceanside Water Utilities. How about giving us an update on the desalination plant?
We have a 6 million gallon a day reverse osmosis water treatment plant here.
Let's stop right there.
Okay.
You know, you do the same. I did the same thing with money on this. Like, wow, 6 million gallons a day, right? We won't need Metropolitan Water District anymore. We can shut those pipes off. So how does that fit into the context, just roughly? Is that what percentage?
About 15%.
Okay, so that's still that is very significant.
It's significant.
So it's not only a lot of water, it's significant as a percentage to the water needs. Okay, sorry to interrupt, but you have to have some kind of context.
Yes,
right?
definitely,
Okay.
definitely. So that particular treatment plant is taking local groundwater. So we have about 8 groundwater supply wells that pump water from the Mission Basin. It gets treated at this particular plant and then is fed directly into our water distribution system that goes to our customers' homes.
So it's obviously it comes from the ocean initially, but it's not literally being pumped out of the ocean then.
Well, over time, water, when it rains, or even river water, say from the San Luis River, infiltrates into the ground. And then we can pump it out. And of course, when we're this close to the ocean, we do want to make sure that we're not over pumping and have that seawater underground intrude and then foully.
So it'll get saltier and saltier,
Sure.
in other words, as it goes on.
Definitely.
So is that an issue that's going to limit this to the 6 million gallons, or is the solution to that another source up or down the coast from where this one is? And how do you see that going?
Well, like anything, we have to manage our operation to make sure that there is no impact to the aquifer. So we're always looking at aquifer levels and the wells and how they're pumping and how they affect not only the aquifer, the river, the habitat, and then we're looking, of course, nearby to the ocean water. So just making sure that our operation doesn't have an environmental impact.
So this is going to run for a while before we start thinking about number 2, another installation?
We are looking at an expansion of that plant. We are able to expand to extract additional water to increase our local supply. And that's really important in that this is a very cost-effective resource to pump water, to treat it, and serve it to our customers. The other alternative is importing water from Colorado or from the Sacramento area. So bringing water from hundreds of miles away gets to be a little expensive. So
it's the electricity to pump that water too. It costs a fortune.
Electricity, treatment, and then also we're paying costs to Metropolitan Water District, and it's wheeled through the County Water Authority. So by having our local supply, we've definitely cut out the middlemen. We've eliminated the transportation costs, and it's a dependable source that's local, so that in times of emergencies or a large disaster, possibly even an earthquake, we've got a local supply of water able to feed our customers.
Just roughly, very roughly from a cost basis, how much less is it than your average water cost for all the other water, for the 85% that comes from far away?
The majority of our water does come from far away, but it's not our cheapest water. The plant is...
Yeah, roughly how much less, though, is it? Is it half the price? Is it 2/3?
It is not half. I would say it's probably closer to 2/3. The least expensive water is coming from the reverse osmosis plant, followed by the plant that treats surface water, raw surface water. And then the most expensive water is the completely treated water that we can also purchase from the County Water Authority.
Okay. So the local water has a production cost and a treatment cost. And the imported water's of course, you're paying for it anyway, aren't you?
Well, we pay for the water, the actual raw water itself, and then there's an additional cost if we get it fully treated. But our second treatment plant, our surface water treatment plant, can treat that water at a cost cheaper than what we can buy it for. So using our local plants and our local city staff, we're able to get a better deal for our customers.
So the water business is very stable, not just in terms of employment, but historically in terms of infrastructure. You know, there's some cities that still have lead pipe and asbestos concrete pipe. However, you're not immune to technology.
No.
So what are some of the newer technologies that you're putting to use to increase availability, control costs, and just get more efficient in your operations?
Right. We're always looking at efficiencies, how to do things better, value-added projects. And I think technology is something that is a big player for our organization and probably a lot of water agencies out there. So we're looking at our computer systems that control our operations. So we have a SCADA system which actually helps our operators better operate the plant. And so some people now in their cars will have a navigation system. It'll tell them where they're going, the time of day, what the temperature is outside. And so our SCADA system is in some sense a little bit similar. It's giving us a lot of information to help us maximize our efficiency, to optimize our operation. So we're looking at investing in upgrades to that system, electrical upgrades that will help us get data back into our operations center so that we can make decisions that will maximize efficiency out in our water system.
Are some of those decisions these sourcing issues that we were talking about as to where the water comes from? Or is it all about treatment? What are the decisions that are made based on this input?
No, it's not about the sources of water. Once that water is in our system coming through our plants, we are monitoring water quality parameters to make sure we know what the water looks like as it's coming into the plant, so that while it's in the plant, we're best able to respond to that particular condition. We use a variety of chemicals to take out contaminants, and so we don't want to use too much of these chemicals because that also adds to an extra expense. At the end also we have to take those right back out. We're monitoring flows and pressures. We're monitoring our reservoir levels to make sure that we have sufficient amount of water to not only serve our customers' needs, but then also to protect Oceanside in case there'd be a fire in town. We'd want the fire department to have enough water to fight a significant fire if that ever occurred.
Let's talk a little bit about the chemical issue, because there's a huge marketing effort out there with bottled water. Literally hundreds of millions of dollars. Right? We're drinking city water here. What is left in there, or what is intentionally put in there? There's treatment processes that happen within the plant. When the water leaves the plant, what can people expect of that water in terms of normal bottled water?
Okay, so this is a huge discussion, tap water versus bottled water. I actually used to drink bottled water when I started in this industry, and the more I studied and the more I learned and the longer I was in here, I thought, wow, this makes no sense. I now solely drink tap water. It's something that I'm a big fan of, and not just in Oceanside, but even when I travel, I have a strong trust in tap water. And oftentimes bottled water is tap water that goes through an extra treatment process, oftentimes to mineralize the water so that it's more marketable when it comes to taste. But tap water has to meet a very stringent state and federal requirements to be sold to the public, to be put in our water mains so that it comes out in your kitchen sink or in your shower. So we monitor our tap water very closely. We have in Oceanside, the city of Oceanside has its own state certified laboratory, so we run thousands of tests in this laboratory. We're monitoring the drinking water throughout the city in the distribution system. At the plants, we're monitoring it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Christmas, Easter, and 4th of July, we have our eye on quality to make sure that our public is getting the very best water and also at the very best cost.
So from a from a quality standpoint, it's as good or better than bottled water.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And I think that a lot of us have been exposed to bottled water as somehow being better or different. I've found that I enjoy tap water. It's a taste preference. So some people like Coca-Cola, some people like Pepsi. If you're a Pepsi guy, Coke won't do it for you, but they're both probably really good sodas. And tap water is not only safe, high quality, but it is so economical that, you know, some of us would never put that high-grade gas in their car. The regular gas is just fine. The car runs, there's no knocking, it's perfect.
Well, I think it's pretty certain that a lot of people don't realize the taste difference isn't the safety issue, it's the mineral issue.
It is minerals.
That's what we taste. We don't taste water. So.
Correct. Correct.
And you're right, they do put it back in.
Yes.
Right? So, well, maybe we've increased water usage unintentionally. And,
right.
and we don't want to leave it at that. So in about a minute, which is what we have left, we want to continue to get better at the conservation issue.
Oh, yes.
Right? You're never good enough. Are you focusing on one or two things for this summer season, or do you have a couple of top 2 tips on what the citizens of Oceanside can do to reduce water usage?
Yes. We are in a level 1 drought watch, so we, as always, are asking our customers to use water wisely, efficiently, and we've all heard the tips of turning off the water when you're brushing your teeth, and the city offers rebates for toilets, washing machines, which is where a lot of water inefficiencies occur inside the home. Outside the home, the big inefficiency is the landscape. So how do we efficiently water our landscape? Do we have appropriate landscape for the climate here in the Oceanside area? And then also, how do we prevent water from running off our front lawn or our landscape? Because that causes other concerns and problems with runoff into the storm drains.
Very good. So wash your machines, have the right landscaping, and then water it right.
Sure.
Rosemary, thanks for joining us on The Voice of Oceanside and filling us in on the Oceanside water situation.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us and viewing this edition of The Voice of Oceanside. If you'd like to see it again, or you think someone else might enjoy this show, our programs are available for viewing on our website at koct.org. Thanks for watching.
This program brought to you by the caring hands of Tri-City Medical Center.